It's great to see you all, and you're all very welcome here this evening. And look, this session here is part of our monthly masterclass, and we're offering these masterclasses to all our past and the current clients. It's on the last Wednesday of every month, and it'll be for about 45 minutes or so. But kind of it's really just to reinforce what you've already gone through, what we're actually going through and between Katrina and myself, who have been like, all of you have either seen one of us, that we're here just for you to get the most out of all of this. Okay, so that to make your life easier, to make your life more simple, by taking away all of the unnecessary stresses and irritations that usually would drag people down. Okay, now we got some feedback from last week, just to say that some people would prefer to move this to 7 o'clock on the Wednesday. So if anybody has any objections, please let us know through the email that you'll receive after this session. Okay, but if you prefer to leave it at 6, please let us know that as well. Now, these sessions are really to reinforce the valuable skills for your work and personal life. Those ones like public speaking, or building confidence and overcoming all of those limiting beliefs, and using stress and anxieties as those opportunities for growth rather than for holding you back. So we really encourage you to have your camera on if you wish, and you may have come to us for smoking, weight loss, insomnia, and everything in the past, but you know that these are only symptoms rather than the real problem. Okay, these are sometimes your body's way of actually letting us know that there is something deeper than we even realize. So these masterclasses will act as an opportunity to reignite some of the work that we've done previously in our sessions, but also will help to educate you on how to use these skills in both your personal and your professional lives. Okay, so what we're through over these next few months, we'll be covering so many things. Some you will have heard of before, some will be new. And one of the great things about learning is that sometimes the repetition, when hearing it a few different times, but also in different ways, that will almost kind of help to cement and to reinforce everything that you already know. Because having been through the sessions, the work that we're doing is really just to help you go through whatever it is that you are, to make it easy, to make it simple. Okay, because once you understand what is really going on, it means that everything then becomes, well, more in your control, where you're not falling under the weight of the problems, but instead actually being able to rise above them and see more clearly what you really want. Okay, so as we're going through to this evening, please, if you have any questions, please jump in. No, I'll try and keep an eye on the chat, but obviously, kind of, I'm a guy, I can't multitask that much. But kind of just put your hand up. You can use that raise hand function. It's or if you want, just to come on and just shout. Okay, it'll be probably easier that way. All right. I don't want this to be any formal thing. It's because I want you to get the most from it. So please feel free just to throw in. Okay. Because tonight, what I want to really start with is actually just speaking about beliefs. Okay. And beliefs are something that, again, that we all have, that we live our lives, well, we've lived through all our lives with. And what I want you to know is that what beliefs are just simply thoughts that we keep thinking. And beliefs, by their very nature, have no foundation in reality or in truth. And the proof of that is that if they did have, then they wouldn't be beliefs. Beliefs are they're simply nothing. They are thoughts. But what happens is that we actually put so much importance on those thoughts. And it's those things that can actually hold us back. Even though all the proof of those beliefs will go against. Now, if they did have any foundation in truth or reality, well, then they wouldn't be beliefs, they would be truth or reality. The point of beliefs is that there is no proof, that there is no proof to support them, and they have no foundation. And why that's important is that we have grown up in whatever country we're in, whatever area we are. We've grown up with beliefs, with traditions, and not just kind of sometimes with spiritual beliefs, and with those customs, and that actually almost like keep us locked into a certain way of thinking, a certain way of seeing ourselves. And those beliefs are powerful. It's just the problem is that we actually believe the beliefs. We believe that they are true. We believe that they are real. Now, for a lot of us, we grew up believing in Santa Claus. And how many of us believe in Santa Claus now? And the question now, you don't need an answer, but the question is, well, why don't we still believe in Santa Claus? And the answer to that is simple. It doesn't make sense, because we know otherwise. And the thing is that when we were 10 or 12 or whatever age it was, when we finally stopped believing, at that point, it was only because it didn't make any more sense. And it took one moment. It took one single moment for us to stop believing. And it's when we now look back with all of the beliefs that are holding us back, all those limitations are all simply beliefs. Everything, every fear that we have are only beliefs, regardless of what we've been through in the past, regardless of what we've learned in the past, regardless of what we've experienced. The beliefs and all of the limitations that we have are simply that. They're just thoughts. And unfortunately, if when we stopped believing in Santa Claus, if an adult had come to us and said, okay, that's great, now you can leave that childish life behind you. Now you can start growing up into the teenagers and adults that we were to become. But if at that stage they had actually turned around and said, now all of those other things that you did believe, well, they don't make sense either. That they would have given us permission to let go all of those limitations, because the beliefs were really for children. The beliefs in the fairy tales, the beliefs in the magic, the beliefs in all of the wonders and fascinations that we had. Because as adults, as we look at all of those limitations, and we know we're better than that. That if they had released us from the need to keep those beliefs, we wouldn't have lived with those restrictions. And these restrictions are purely just from what we learned. And when we now look back, when we look at the limitations, and this is why we've met most of you, because there's something holding you back. There's something stopping you. There's something there that's making you do what you don't want to do, or not do what you do want to do. And all of those are the beliefs. The only reason that you feel held back is because you know you're capable of so much more. That feeling of being held back, you may not even know what it's from. You may not. But the only thing that holds us back are beliefs that are no longer valid. They're no longer appropriate. And what I want you to know and understand is that when you now, as an adult, when you now, with your independence as an adult, can look back on these beliefs, that when you realize, well, they don't make sense anymore.
I think Faker's stuck there for a moment. He'll be back in a second. It's just obviously whenever the Wi-Fi is in the office.
Thank you. Thank you, Katrina.
We'll just give him another moment. Yeah, looks like he's gone off. He'll be back in a second. But I suppose what he has to say is very interesting about our beliefs, isn't it, really? Whether we're children, whether we're teenagers, whether we're adults, that we have different thoughts at different times of our lives. And what's accepted to us as a child and listening to our parents or our guardians who bring us up, it's we don't really question things very much. And it's only when we become a little bit older, 9, 10, 11, and so on, that we start thinking for ourselves and making decisions for ourselves. And that's why sometimes there's conflict in our teenage years, because we want to try new things, and our parents have want us to keep us safe naturally, and because they want to keep us safe, they keep us locked in at home, and they don't want us out into the world as much as, and keep the limitations on, you're in school so you can't go out nights during the week, or whatever the case may be. And then as you become older, whether you choose to go to college, or you choose to go to night school, or you choose to go and find a job, I suppose then we are, limiting ourselves in different ways, or we're trying to find new ways of, learning. And that's what hypnosis is all about, learning in a way that suits us. Okay, Vic, you're back. We can't hear you. You have your mute on there.
I'm
Okay.
that just all this technical difficulties just come up and grab us from behind. But just so thank you for Katrina for picking that up. So look, what we want for you really is just to know that, that when we can now as adults look back on those beliefs, on those restrictions, because they have no proof, because you have survived your life up to now, so they're no longer valid. Now, when you give yourself permission then to release those beliefs, it just simply means that you are back in control of your life. And it's a good place to be. Because when you can release those beliefs, when you can look at them, analyze them, and know that they're no longer valid because they have no control over you. But how do we know? How do we know what those beliefs are? Well, for most of the time we don't, because they're so deeply ingrained. They're things that we believed from the time we were very young. They're behaviors that we have from the time we were very young. They're reactions and responses to our environment, from our families, from our schools, from our friends. That the behaviors and those beliefs, things that we did, they get so deeply ingrained. And sometimes they lay dormant for a long time, and then it's only when we're older that they start becoming a problem. So how can we remember where they came from, or even what those beliefs are? And this is where the work that we do comes in. Because the one sure way of knowing that there is a belief that's holding you back is because of the discomfort that you feel. Every discomfort that you feel is going to be based on a belief, on a restriction, on a limitation that we have picked up somewhere along the way. And because now we don't need to know what those beliefs are, we don't need to know when they started. Because now we can focus on that discomfort and work with that. We can work with those discomforts to resolve them, to eliminate them so that they're gone for good. Because when they're gone for good, we're not just going to leave them gone, we're going to replace them with something that is much more appropriate. We're going to replace all of those restrictions, all of those limitations with, well, what is more appropriate, with what you want. And that is our mission. That is what we want to do. That's what we want to do for so many people. And it's great that we have them. And it's been an honor and a privilege to have worked with so many people where we've had the opportunity to be able to release, to give them that opportunity for them to be able to get back in control. So when it comes to those beliefs, they are only those discomforts, which is really easy to work with because we don't have to struggle. We don't have to go back into the past. For those of you who have been to counseling or psychotherapy, well, that's what they do. They go back into the past. But we know we cannot change the past. That if going back into the past to understand the problem was going to fix it, well, then understanding how politics works would make us all brilliant. Or anything else for that matter. But going back and understanding, even if you understand what the problem is, you still have to start working on it to resolve it. So rather than going back, rather than spend the time going back because it's irrelevant, because when that belief is gone, you don't need to understand it. Most people have no idea why they do what they do. Most people have no idea why they don't do what they want to do. Whether it's in anxiety, why do people have anxiety? They don't know. They don't even know what it is. And all it is just that belief. It's a belief that they somehow can control the future. But we know nobody can. And whether it's addiction in any form, whether it's stress in any way, these are all indicators. They're all symptoms of those beliefs, of those limitations. And when a belief doesn't make any sense, and I often use it, I don't want to bore people too much, but it's like back in the olden times when people believed that they could fall off the edge of the earth. We know that they could never have fallen off, but the belief that they could kept them fixed, kept them locked into the areas that they lived. They didn't explore. They didn't go beyond the boundaries because that belief kept them within those confines. And we can look back and say, well, look, that was silly. Why would they have done that? Well, it's an interesting question because the question is, well, how do we keep doing the very same thing? How do we still believe in the beliefs that are still holding us back? How many of us believed for any amount of time that we weren't good enough? How many believe we're not good enough? Well, let's look at that even. Now, as adults, when you look back on your life, well, have you survived your life up to now? Of course you have. What does that say about you? It means that you've gone through whatever life threw at you. You dealt with it as it happened. You managed it, you survived it creatively for most of us, but we got through it and we learned and we're better because of it. And when we look at all of the things that we have done, all the things we have achieved, the people that we got to know, the people we got to love, the people we got to learn from. So how can we now even believe that we're not good enough? When all of the proof shows that you are more than you could even imagine. But the
Wow.
beliefs is made up of our well, the logical brain is just meant to learn, to grow, to assess things, to analyze, to make decisions, to plan. These are just logical things. And it's so well made that we've gone from living in caves to being able to, well, live in the world that we have now. Even heading to Mars now. But that is the capacity of our logic, of our intellect. But what's meant to happen is that any thoughts that we have, and when we focus our attention on anything, on any one thing, our imagination kicks in and it creates all the proof, all of the information that we ever have on it. Our imagination is that creative part of our logic. That's its whole job. It's neither good nor bad. It's just, that's what it does. When we focus on anything, whether it's a memory, whether it's photographs, whether it's ideas, it just creates more. And those then go up, they go up into the analytical center and the assessment center of our brain. And then if they're good and appropriate, it keeps them. If they're not, it deletes. Because we have so many thoughts, so many ideas, so many experiences, and what's kept is what is appropriate, and what's deleted then is no use. But what happens is when we focus our attention on what we don't want, the imagination is going to create, again, bring up and create all of the other evidence for the same, which is a good thing because it means that we can now protect ourselves and learn from it. But what we do, because of our conditioning, because of what everybody else does, what we do is we see it and then we get afraid of it because we don't like it. But instead of letting it go up into the assessment center, we lock the door. It doesn't make sense. But this is what we do. And what we do is we focus on what we don't want. And that's when we create the monsters. We create more of what we don't want. All of the evidence, all of the proof, everything to support that. Now, it's not real. Monsters, you know, as an adult, monsters don't exist. But the more we focus on the monsters, the more it creates, the more it embellishes, the more it brings them up. And then the more we see, and again, we're just believing that these are real. It's believing that they're real. But the more we focus on them, the more, and they just get bigger and bigger, and they start to overflow into other parts of our lives. As you know, this is where phobias come from. Just people who cannot leave their houses because of this fear, because of those monsters that they see. Nobody else can. So all the proof is there that they don't exist. Even as adults, we know they don't exist. But we believe them. And those are those monsters. Those are the problems. Those are the experiences that keep us from being able to go beyond where we are. And it's completely unnecessary, because all we have to do is actually just let them go to that assessment center. It already knows that monsters don't exist, and it just deletes them. Because they're gone now, they're not even a thought. Now, are monsters bad? No. Because you have the likes of J.K. Rowling, who, the Harry Potter author, and now she creates monsters. They go up to her assessment center and they're kept. And they've made her billions. So everything you create is not bad. It's just when we start believing that they are real. And this is where we believe them like we are children. In that childish way of believing, because now we can't even make a decision for ourselves. But when we let them up to that assessment center, just by even imagining, just even allowing ourselves to see them even once as an adult, to be able to look and say, because it's the very same when we're looking at somebody else's problems. It's their monster, but we can see them from an adult perspective. When we're looking at our own monsters, we look at them from a childish perspective, which is why we feel so helpless and so powerless. And those beliefs become our excuses for not being the best that we can be. Those beliefs and those limitations are our excuses. And as adults, like that, we love our excuses. It gives us a backdoor, an escape route. It's like we tried, but it gives us the cushion so we can fall back on them. And what we're looking to do in all of our sessions is actually just to eliminate the beliefs, eliminate those excuses, so that now there's no reason to be anything other than the very best version of yourself. And that's how powerful beliefs are. But on the other hand, beliefs on the other side. When you believe that you are capable, that you are the adult, now you get to see everything. You get to see everything from the perspective of an adult, from the insight, from the understanding, from the experience of everything you've been through. So that you get to see your life, see yourself with that insight, with that awareness, with the understanding, knowing that you're going to deal with everything as it happens. Because that's what adults do. We don't need permission. We don't need anyone's permission to improve. We don't need anyone's permission to make these decisions, just to analyze and just let them go. They serve no purpose. They serve no purpose. And for the many people that we have worked with, and no matter what their problem, the problem was only that symptom, that they believed the monsters. They believe in the monsters. So if you no longer believe in Santa Claus, well, now let all the other beliefs go. Now, how long did it take to stop believing in Santa Claus? It was only moments. It was only at that stage when our logic actually was kicking in. But now at the age that we are now, as having gone through all the experiences and really now you can look at yourself and say, really, are you good enough? And if you can't say it yourself, well, let me say it. Yes, you are. More than you can ever imagine. Now, how do you know you're good enough? Well, you're here because you know you already are much more than this. That all the struggles, regardless of where they came from, are rooted in those beliefs. And they're no longer appropriate. And that's why they're so uncomfortable. If they were natural, you wouldn't even feel them. But they're uncomfortable because they're alien to you. Many of you have often heard me talk about the stone in your shoe. What would you do if you had a stone in your shoe? Of course, you'd take it out. Why? Oh, because it's uncomfortable. But the discomfort itself, well, is the discomfort a bad thing? No. Because it's the discomfort that's your body getting you, well, letting you know that there's something you can do. The discomfort is pointing you towards the solution. But unfortunately, what we do, again, because of all of these beliefs and restrictions, that when we have any discomfort, well, we usually just turn around and fight with it and struggle with it. Because that's what everybody else has done, and nobody ever told us that you could actually see it in a better way. And as you release those beliefs, now you get to see things as they really are. Because the discomfort itself is not the monster. We just believed that it was. And as soon as we stop fighting with this, it settles. It's gone. Because it doesn't fit the belief that we have. And in all of the issues and problems that we've dealt with, they've all come back to the very same cause, which is those beliefs, those limitations, which never made sense because people have grown up struggling with either anxiety or powerlessness or habits or phobias or behaviors. And without exaggeration, we've worked with people who've struggled with these for 20 or 30 years, tried everything else. Once we explained about the beliefs and it, within 1 or 2 sessions, it's gone. Not because there's any magic, and there's no magic involved in hypnosis. It's just purely bringing those beliefs to light, looking at them, looking at the discomforts and actually acting properly on them, not fighting with them, not struggling with them. And Katrina and myself are here to guide you through all of this, all of the struggles, so that we can eliminate them quickly, easily. Unless you're going to miss them and you want to hang on to them, but why would you? And you've struggled long enough, let them go. And this is why it's our passion, because when you know that everything has the same common cause or the common root, it means then that there are no, again, just there's no techniques. You don't have to do anything different. In fact, the less you do, the better, because all we're doing is bringing you back to your natural state, bringing you back to where there's no more of those beliefs. Can you imagine Just for a moment, can you imagine what you would be capable of if you knew you could never fail? Can you imagine what you could be if you knew you could never fail? And the only thing that's holding you back from moving beyond are those limitations, those beliefs. But I want to tell you now to your face, or if you're listening to this, well, to your ear, that you can never fail. Because you will be learning in everything that you do, just as much as you have learned through everything you've been through. There is no failure in learning. There is only growth and creativity in learning. And for each and every one of you, I want to let you know you can never fail. You have never failed. And these sessions, these masterclasses are there to, again, to reignite, as I said earlier, to re-enhance and to build up what you already know, so that you can get to leave the rubbish behind, leave the struggles behind, and give yourself from today, from this moment, from every moment, a fresh start. You haven't failed up to now because you're here. How can you ever fail? If you weren't capable of more, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be looking to learn. You wouldn't be looking to improve and to let go, to change those behaviors and those beliefs and those experiences. And what we want for you, for every one of you, for everyone that we meet, even those that we speak with that never come to work with us, we want the very best for you. What I want to ask you now is, like, is there any questions, either on anything that I've discussed tonight or anything else?
Fika, I have a question.
Yes, Amanda.
Hi, Fika. Fika, when you talk about the assessment center, I think as an individual, doing by ourselves is very hard, because I find out that if I have a belief, the thing is that the emotion are involved. And so in any time, actually, I struggle with these beliefs because it gives me very strong emotion. And if I go in the assessment center, if I understood well, I should basically think about and say, why do I have, you see, if I start to question, to talk why I have this belief, it looks like that is getting bigger. So is it, when goes in the assessment center, what do you mean? Look at it and step back, or try to rationalize with the logic? So to streamline in that way. So finally you say, okay, this belief is not valid because of this, and that. I don't think it will work because I'm a very emotional person, as you know. But just a question, like, how could we do ourselves? Because I struggle by myself to do so.
Yeah. And listen, thank you for that. It's a really good question. Okay. And when I talk about the assessments with the logic, with our intellect, because it's our intellect that contains, again, the the decision-making center, and again, the assessment, the analysis center. Okay, these are part of our intellect. Okay, they're not real places. They're not real rooms kind of that we can actually go into. These are all natural, automatic kind of processes that we go through. Okay, in every day that we have, like, I mean, that we're making decisions without even realizing that we are. And these are because it's like, you know, when you think about, for example, first thinking about Santa Claus, we know it's not even a thing. We know because it's already been analyzed and assessed naturally. Okay, these things happen at the speed of light. Okay, so it's not that we have to make a decision, but it's allowing, when we focus on something that we don't want and we create those monsters, okay, that naturally they will go up into the assessment center and then they're deleted, they're gone. Okay, it's like when we're watching a, you know, kind of a program on television or film or watching news, anything that we don't believe just goes into the assessment center and is just deleted. Okay, now, and I know, like, you know, as you said, like, I mean, just people who are very emotional. Now, the emotions that we go through are instinctive. Okay, all they are just our body's way of letting us know, okay, how we're actually fitting in with what's going on around us. Okay, they are not controlling us. They are not, and we can't even control them. These are like little alarms, little indicators, so that we can actually act on them. Okay, now, unfortunately, when we have these, again, those strong emotions, as you said, when we feel them, what we do is we, again, because of our past experience, we actually believe that these are out to get us. They are enemies. They are threats to us. Okay, and the belief that they're a threat creates then this internal conflict and aggression, because we're fighting now with ourselves, with the feelings. Now, those emotions, they're not malicious, they're not evil. They are there to protect us, to help us, to guide us. Because it's those emotions and feelings that will create that, well, the discomforts. Okay, and that's what we end up fighting with. Okay, those emotions are, again, they're parts. They're not physical parts, but they're parts of our instincts that are there to keep us safe, to protect. Okay, but unfortunately, because of those beliefs, because of the conditioning that we've had from our societies and our families and our schools, you know, that we've just ended up fighting. But that fight, that conflict doesn't end, or it doesn't last just for a few minutes or an hour. It's 24 hours, because it's always there. Even when we're asleep, even when we're not thinking of it, it's there. And people have like, in explaining that, people have actually said, yeah, but how can it still be there when you're not thinking about it? Well, a good answer to that is, well, for those of us who have people that we love, well, do you love them when you're asleep? Do you love them when you're not thinking about them? Yeah, absolutely. It's something that's there anyway, regardless, because it's part of who you are. And all of that conflict, then that aggression, is also there all the time, until we don't need it. Because when we then have a look, and when we analyze, you know, what the beliefs that are causing the discomfort, now we can just let them go. And those beliefs, whether it's controlling our addictions, or our behaviors, or our reactions and responses, and it doesn't matter. All we have to do, we don't need to look at all of those individual, because everybody is different. But all we have to do is go back to that one common thing, which is the belief. And when we have the capacity to stop believing in Santa Claus, Well, even at our adult state, how much easier should it be just to look at those beliefs and actually say, well, they don't make sense. Because once they stop making sense, when you look and see there's no proof, in fact, the proof will always prove it wrong. But because we believe it, because we're so afraid of it, because it has so much control of us, we ignore reality. And those beliefs become filters in how we see ourselves and how we see the world. In the same way, like if you know, we all know what traffic lights are like. We have the red on top and the green on the bottom. But if you look at traffic lights with red sunglasses, you're going to see the red on top, but the green on the bottom is going to be nearly black. But if the next day you come along and you're wearing green sunglasses, now you come to the same traffic lights and the green on the bottom is still green, but the red on top is now nearly black. The reality is, well, the way traffic lights are. The only thing that has changed is our perception. And what's changed our perception is the filter that we're actually seeing them through. And in the same way, the beliefs and those limitations are the filters that we see our lives and ourselves through. And what we want through these sessions and through these classes is, take off those filters so that you get to see yourself in the pure state. Get to see life as it really is. Not filled with the monsters, but actually, yes, there are dangers and there are threats out in life, but as adults, we get to assess them. We get to live with them. We get to manage our lives and get through them all. Because we have up to now. They're the same dangers, they're the same threats. And we have lived and become better because of it. So by eliminating those beliefs, by eliminating the limitations, now we take away all of those filters. So we get a purer understanding, a better understanding of what we can be. Because without those filters, there are no fears. Without those filters, there are no failures. Because there are no limitations. And then you get to see that you are born with the capacity for excellence in everything. It doesn't mean you have to go change the world, but it just means that you have that capacity in everything you do just to be the very best that you can be. You're not living on other people's standards, so there's nobody telling you what your best is. But knowing that you just give 100% in everything you do. Because, well, that's who you are. And when you're giving 100% in everything you do, well, you're living as you. Without the fears. Without limitations. And without the failures. And in the next session, we will be again covering, as some of you have already gone through, like, well, have you ever done anything wrong? Just to reinforce and let you know, for those who haven't, who don't know about it, like, and again, smashing through some of those beliefs. To eliminate even more, to loosen them so that you can just easily let them go. Because we're no longer children, we're no longer caught in the dependency on the grown-ups. We are the grown-ups. We are the adults. What would it be like to be able to live your life without looking for permission from other adults? because that's the way your life is meant to be. Life is meant to be easy and free and expressive. It's us that make it hard and complex. Only because we end up fighting with ourselves so much, we miss out on the greatness, on the goodness, on just how easy it is. Yes, there are going to be things that we have to learn and grow through, but that's part of what life is. It's what we do as humans. We are explorers, we're learners, we express. Which is why we've been able to create the most amazing structures and poetry and art, engineering in every way. And if we can do that with all the limitations that we've grown up with and we have, can you imagine what we could be if we let all those beliefs go? Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to change the world. Many people just don't want to be changed. They want to stay as they are, and that's okay. And we have to respect that, because nobody should control you in the same way you should never control anybody else. But for those who feel that there is more, and these are people like yourselves, there's people who are upper management in businesses, entrepreneurs. There's elite athletes who know that they can do more, but something's holding them back. And without exception, every one of those people that we have worked with, it was always down to a belief. Because once they released that belief, now they were free to reach the levels that they were capable of. There's many people that were just in working with them, they just happened to play golf, and most of them come back to say, look, even their golf game has got better. Now, I don't understand golf that much. I know that there's numbers, and the less the number, the better. But like that, even in releasing the lead, that it helps straight away. Can only imagine what it could do with somebody playing darts. But that's how powerful beliefs are. And as you know, like, I mean, there are people who will die for their country because of that belief. They will die for their families because of those beliefs. That's how powerful they are. But as much as they will drive you forward. As much as they can help you live better, they can also hold you back. And it's us. It's where we focus our attention. We focus on what we don't want, we'll get more of it. We focus on what we can be, and we will also then get more of that. Some people think that's like kind of kind of the secret and the manifestation. I'm often asked, do I believe in manifestation? Absolutely. I depend on it. The only reason we have a business like this is because people have manifested the rubbish that they've and their problems. So yeah, I believe in it because it works across the spectrum. If you're focused on what you don't want, you'll get big problems. You focus on what you do want, and you live with the success that you want to live with. And the happiness you deserve. But yet manifestation happens. If you don't like where your life is, it'll change how you're focused. Because how you see your life, how you see yourself is, again, because of where you're focused. People say, how do you change focus? Well, if you're looking at television, and you didn't like what was on, what would you do? Change channel. Same with the radio. And even in our real life, like, I mean, I could be sitting there kind of totally miserable, whatever's happened, and kind of like be doom and gloom all over. A friend could ring and say, how are you doing? And suddenly my life has changed. My day has changed. I've seen now, because my focus now is on something different. We've all experienced it. You change your focus. You can have a plan. You can know that, well, if I'm feeling miserable, I'll do something definite. And that's all. What's really interesting is that if you focus on something for more than 17 seconds, your imagination is in full speed at that stage. 17 seconds is all it takes. Why 17? I don't know. Just is. If you're struggling, focus on something for 17 seconds and you will feel a difference. Oh, on the other hand, if you're feeling really good, focus on the doom and gloom for 17 seconds and you will also feel the effect. The way it is, that's how it works. But knowing that it works both ways, now you have the chance now to just focus on in a direction that you want. Something that is compatible with you, something that does fit. Something that you want. Because if you're not focused on something that you want, you're certainly focused on what you don't want. And you get to choose. Okay? So we're just out of time now. Can't believe it flew in that quick. Okay? But really appreciate just being here, because it just makes it so much easier and so much more. Now I know we're recording this for those who couldn't attend, or even for if you want to have the replay, just let us know and we'll send you the recording. It is exclusive to those who have completed the program, like or currently going through the program. Okay, but you'll receive an email in about 10 minutes or so. I think it's automated anyway, so like it saves me having to do anything. But you'll get it, so you can reply to that email with any questions or anything that you want even covered on this. And we'll certainly include it in next month's or in a future one. Now our next masterclass will be on the last Wednesday of next month, which will be also the 26th. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll push it out to 7 o'clock for March. Okay, but please, if it doesn't suit you, please let us know so that we'll just adjust it. Okay, so if you are kind of part of our deep relaxation hypnosis sessions, which we hold every second Wednesday, it's just at lunchtime. It's from 1 o'clock to 1:45. Okay, our next one will be next Wednesday. Okay, but if you haven't signed up yet, you'll get some information on the email. So I really want to thank you for coming along this evening, for taking the time out for you, because this is all for your benefit. So I want to wish you a very, very easy life. Okay, because that's what we're trying to do. To eliminate any excuses for not. Okay, but if there is anything that comes up for you, please let us know. Because they're easy to, unless you want to hang on to them, that's a different matter. If you want to hang on to the struggles, yeah, go ahead, that's okay, but you'll know yourself. Okay. Look, good evening, good night, and take care of yourselves. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye for now.